12 Dancing Princesses. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a king and a queen who had 12 beautiful daughters. Every single night, the 12 princesses would sneak out of their beds and dance all night long. And when the sun would rise, they would return to their beds and sleep until evening. And every night they did this. One day the king became suspicious about his daughters' nocturnal activities, so he hired a detective to spy on them. The detective followed the princesses one night and saw them dancing in the forest. He watched them for a while and then returned to the king and told him everything he had seen. The king was furious and told the detective to find out what the princesses were dancing with. The next night the detective followed the princesses again and saw them dancing with 12 handsome princes. The king was furious. He wanted his daughters to marry these princes, but first he had a condition. He told the princes that if they wanted to marry his daughters, they would have to pass a test. The princes were suspicious about this, but they agreed to take the test. The king said, "I want each one of you to bring me a bucket of water from the well in the princess's courtyard." The princes went to the well, but it was so deep that they couldn't see the bottom of it. They tried and tried, but none of them could bring the bucket of water. Then the king said, "If you can't do this, then forget about marrying my daughters." The princes were very sad, but they had no choice, so they all left the kingdom. On their way out, they came across a small cottage, and as they were passing by, one of the princesses came out of the cottage. She was collecting firewood. The princes couldn't help but stare at her in awe, and she too couldn't help but smile at them. Then one of the princes gathered all his courage and asked the princess, "Will you marry me?" The princess was taken aback by his question, but before she could reply, the other princes also started asking her for her hand in marriage, and she ended up agreeing to marry all of them. The princes were overjoyed, but they knew they had to fulfill the king's wish first. So they all went to the king together and told him about their engagement. The king was very happy and gave his consent to the marriage. And so all 12 princesses got married to the 12 princes, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.